Your former team, the Eagles, had a disappointing Sunday, losing to the Seahawks 17-9, and with Carson Wentz throwing 2 interceptions and fumbling the ball away another 2 times. A lot of people would put the blame solely on the Philly quarterback's shoulders, but Doug Peterson wants everybody to know it's not always about the quarterback. Brian, is Wentz no longer the elite QB we all thought he was 2 years ago?
Well, I'll tell you, I think you're talking about 2017, you think he's elite, you think he's an MVP candidate, he gets hurt. Unfortunately, he's not able to finish the season. And you fast forwarded to today, coming into the season, you're saying, yes, he's going to be an MVP candidate. He's going to be able to get it done. And then you look at over the course of the season, he hasn't proven to be elite. He hasn't proven to be an elevator of the talent around him. And we all know that there are contributing factors. He started the game this past week without any of the receivers that he started the season with. Deshaun Jackson injured, Alshon Jeffrey injured, Nelson Aguilar injured. He played most of the game without the right side of his offensive line. Brandon Brooks, anxiety attack, Lane Johnson injured. So there are some contributing factors. But the biggest contributing factor to Carson's not being elite is his mechanics and his fundamentals. His mechanics are saying when you're stepping left, you need to throw the ball left, not trying to throw the ball right. His fundamentals are saying when you're in the pocket, protect the football. And so those fumbles, one was because you're trying to hand the ball off a little bit high to a running back, fumble the football. The other one is because he's not protecting the ball in the pocket. And then when you look at some of his throws, you talk about mechanics again, they're high. They're missing left and right. And that's just not who Carson Wentz was in 2017. He was an accurate passer, throwing the football to his guys, hitting them in stride so they could run with the football and potentially score. Now you're watching him, and he's staring down receivers. He's throwing into double coverages. Some of the things that we've seen as far as the progression of Lamar Jackson, being able to read defenses and know exactly where to throw the football to, Carson Wentz hasn't had that progression, and that's why he's struggling. That's why now he can't be considered elite.
Everything you said, I agree with, and I would double down on that. I said it with Coach Mangini. I'm big on the intangibles for a quarterback. And for all the physical gifts that Carson Wentz has, I have not seen the intangibles. The leadership, the galvanizing your players so that they rally around you. If you take away the 11-2 season he had when he got hurt, he's 17-21 as a starter. Now, remember, this is a Super Bowl champion. This is a team that when Nick Foles is there, and look, he's not lighting it up in Jacksonville, but they're 6-2 in the regular season with Nick Foles, and obviously won a Super Bowl with him. And I think with Wentz now, it's in his head now. All these reports that have come out about teammates criticizing you, the fact that they did build a shrine for Nick Foles last year, it's one thing to get criticism from outside, like whether it's media, whether it's other opponents or teams or whatever, but when it's in your locker room, and you may be wondering, who's saying this? Who's saying that? Are they smiling in my face but really don't believe in me and stuff like that? I think that's beginning to show, and I think he's starting to lack confidence, and that's why I think he's dropped off.
Eagle fans, I understand that the injuries are an enormous part of this. Yeah. The wide receiving core has been decimated, and even before all the wide receivers started getting hurt, the most key ingredient to your wide receiving core, Deshaun Jackson, got hurt immediately. And the reason he's the biggest key is he was the only guy with speed. He was the only guy that could change the coverages for other, for the other receivers. And Lane Johnson, for some reason or another, has been the most important teammate for Carson Wentz since he became the Carson Wentz we know. I understand all of that. But none of that justifies his numbers being where they are now. Like, if you are a great quarterback and you deal with injuries to your offensive line and your wide receivers, your numbers obviously are going to fall off. Can we show what Carson Wentz's numbers look like in comparison? They are not going to look like this. Can't find a category. He's in the top 20. If he's a top 5 talent, which a lot of people thought he was, or top 8 talent, given all the injuries, okay, so those numbers should be in the low teens, 14, 15, 16. Every guy on the right that he's worse than in that category has been benched at some point this season. Like, that is where he's been. And the most concerning is to have that low of a completion percentage while also being 30th in yards per attempt. Right. They're short passes and they're inaccurate passes. And Brian, I know you watched this game as closely as I did. You probably for different reasons. I might have had a financial investment in Seattle. Seattle did not play very well. No. Seattle had the flea flicker or whatever it was, the throwback to Russ, throw it deep to go up 7-3. The Seahawks had 7 possessions from that moment until the Eagles had 7 possessions from that moment until the Seahawks scored another touchdown. 7 possessions to either take the lead or tie the game. It went fumble, interception, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, fumble, and then a 5-play, 11-yard drive punt. You had 7 times where if you can get one drive going, then Seattle's in trouble. And then Seattle finally said, all right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and take the game from you. The 4 turnovers can't happen. And that is where, as critical as I am about Brady, because Brady's skills have deteriorated, where he is great is he's not going to lose you the game.
Right.
The Eagles' defense was good enough to win that game on Sunday, get a huge win with Seattle going West Coast, East Coast, 1 p.m. kick, all of it. And the offense, most notably Carson Wentz, let them down.
Coming into the game, the Seattle defense was ranked 29th against the pass. So you expect Carson Wentz to find a way to be able to complete the ball down the field. He wasn't able to do that consistently. They don't take a lot of deep shots. I think they need more creativity from the offensive coordinator and the play caller from Doug Peterson. But I think there's a huge thing that everyone is missing. You have to get better every single day in practice. You have to have someone that can hold you accountable from the coaching perspective to make you better at practice. I'm not sure that Carson Wentz has that. When you talk about fundamentals and mechanics failing, and that this just hasn't been just a one-week thing, that's a coaching thing. They have to do a better job from the coaching standpoint to make sure that the players are held accountable. Carson Wentz at this point has not been.
No, and we talked about this earlier in the week, that maybe they are missing Frank Reich more than we think they are, that he did a lot of good with Carson Wentz, he now in Indianapolis. I just don't know what their other options are. I mean, they're
at quarterback?
At quarterback,
No,
this is their
There's
guy.
no other option.
He's your guy.
There's no other options at this point, so they got to figure it out.
Well, there's some quarterbacks that you can say, you know, we have to surround them with great talent for them to be great. Carson seems to be one of those guys. There's other quarterbacks that say, it doesn't matter who you put around me, I'm going to be great and I'm going to make those guys better. Carson hasn't proven to be that guy.
But if you are in that first category, then it's tough to build an effective team once you pay them.
That's right.
And that's if you're a quarterback who needs the perfect ingredients around you, you can be very successful while you're on that rookie contract.